We don't know yet. I mean, there was an order to the years because my mother didn't change very much. We kind of knew what the rhythm of the year was.
When Princess Anne stepped up holding a sealed note from Queen Elizabeth, no one had the slightest clue what was about to unfold. But the second she opened it, everything shifted. We're still not sure what it all means. There was an order to the years, she said, reflecting on how little her mother seemed to change over time. Inside the envelope was a handwritten letter, tucked away by the late Queen, saved for a time she always knew would come. And the topic? Princess Catherine. The contents? So powerful, so deeply personal, that it apparently sent shockwaves through Buckingham Palace. Even King Charles, known for keeping calm, was visibly shaken. This letter wasn't your typical royal goodbye or a warm send-off. It was part warning, part truth bomb, and quite possibly a final royal order. So, what did Queen Elizabeth really think about Princess Catherine's place in the future of the monarchy? We kind of knew how the year would go, Anne hinted, but things like that might start to change. And how we support the monarchy could change too. Who knows? Why was the letter hidden for so long? And now that it's been brought to light, what could it mean for the royal family as we know it? Stick around, because once you find out what was written, you'll understand why the palace might never be the same again. Now let's talk about the royal family's tough year, a whirlwind of illness, uncertainty, and a nation holding its breath. By early 2024, things took a serious turn. King Charles received a heartbreaking diagnosis: cancer. After weeks of speculation and growing concern about his health, Buckingham Palace finally confirmed it. They didn't go into detail about the type or stage of the cancer, but it quickly became clear that it was serious. The king had to cancel many of his public duties and focus on his treatment. This marked a big change in the royal family's usual pace. But the troubles didn't stop there. Just months later, Princess Catherine revealed that she, too, had been diagnosed with cancer. She shared the emotional news through a carefully filmed video, explaining that she was now going through preventive chemotherapy. "I just wanted to say thank you myself," she said, "for all the kind messages and support, and for being patient while I've been recovering from surgery." Catherine's announcement struck a nerve, not just in the UK, but all over the globe. She's widely seen as the future face of the monarchy, and her illness added a new level of vulnerability we hadn't seen from the royal family in decades. With both the King and the Princess of Wales stepping back from their roles, their absence from the public eye became impossible to ignore. By the time December rolled around, King Charles delivered his annual Christmas speech. Only this one hit a little harder. Standing in the historic Fitzrovia Chapel, he spoke with raw honesty about the year's struggles, both personal and shared. He thanked the doctors and nurses who had cared for both him and Catherine during the darkest moments, and acknowledged the waves of anxiety and uncertainty that came with their diagnoses. It was easily one of the most heartfelt royal Christmas messages in recent memory. Earlier that same day, Charles was spotted greeting well-wishers at Sandringham during the Christmas Day service. He was joined by other members of the royal family, smiling and shaking hands with the public. But not everyone was present. One familiar face chose to stay hidden. And the reason why is more shocking than you might think. Prince Andrew's vanishing act continues. His links to Jeffrey Epstein still hang over the royal family like a dark cloud, and it remains one of the most damaging scandals in recent royal history. His disastrous 2019 interview, where he struggled to explain his relationship with Epstein, left him backed into a corner, and he's barely been seen since. People didn't hold back when it came to Prince Andrew's now infamous interview. Many thought he came across as cold and disconnected, and his vague answers only made things worse. The backlash was fast and fierce. Not long after, Andrew stepped down from his royal duties, a move most people saw as the royal family's way of quietly pushing him into the background to protect their public image. But stepping back didn't mean his troubles disappeared. If anything, things only got messier. Even out of the spotlight, the controversy kept following him around like a shadow. His financial situation started raising eyebrows too. Rumors of rising debts and secret attempts to quietly sell off his assets began to surface. The royal family has always been pretty private about money, but Andrew's financial moves sparked serious questions. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, news broke about a Chinese businessman who'd reportedly been trying to use Andrew to get closer ties with the Chinese Communist Party. That same man was later banned from entering the UK over national security concerns. Not great optics. While Andrew denied doing anything wrong and said he cut ties with the businessman as soon as suspicions were raised, the timing was terrible. It only piled onto the ongoing mess, showing yet again that Andrew's past decisions were still causing headaches for the royals. And with this foreign connection now part of the story, people started asking even tougher questions about who he associated with and why. Then, on April 27, 2025, Prince Andrew popped up in public again. It was a rare appearance after months of keeping a low profile. This time, he was at a small, low-key event, and he wasn't alone. His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, was with him. Even though they split years ago, the two have stayed close, and their joint appearance sparked fresh debates about Andrew's future within the royal fold. While no one thinks he's about to return to official royal duties, his sudden reappearance definitely got people talking. Does this mean he wants back in? Is the royal family letting him inch closer again? No one really knows, but the questions are definitely swirling. Meanwhile, his absence from big public moments, like the Christmas Day service at Sandringham, hasn't gone unnoticed. While the rest of the royals were out shaking hands and smiling for the cameras, Andrew was nowhere to be seen. That silence? It speaks volumes. The monarchy is already under pressure to modernize and stay relevant. The last thing they need is one scandal dragging them back. And royal historian Ed Owens summed it up perfectly. King Charles has been working hard for the last 2 years to reshape how the public sees the monarchy. But with 2 major cancer battles and Andrew's ongoing drama, it's turned into a much tougher job than anyone expected. Still, in the middle of all this chaos, one royal has quietly kept things running: Princess Anne. Now 74, Anne is widely seen as the most steady, no-nonsense member of the royal family. She's not just King Charles's sister, she's his rock. One royal aide even described her as his most trusted confidant, someone he relies on deeply, especially during rough patches. Without Anne backing him up, it's hard to imagine how Charles would manage the weight of the crown. But Anne's no overnight success. She's been building her reputation since she was young. As the Queen's only daughter, she grew up in the full glare of the public eye. But unlike some of her brothers, she's never chased fame or fuss. Instead, she carved out her own path, steady, reliable, and always willing to put in the work. Princess Anne has always been the type to just get on with it. No fuss, no spotlight chasing, just solid, dependable work. By the time she hit adulthood, her strong sense of duty was already clear, and it's been the backbone of her entire royal life. One of her earliest loves? Horses. Anne didn't just enjoy riding. She went all in. In 1976, she made history when she became part of the British equestrian team at the Montreal Olympics. That wasn't just impressive, it was groundbreaking. While most royals could easily stick to comfy ceremonial roles, Anne decided to push herself and do something totally out of the ordinary. It showed the world she wasn't afraid of hard work or a challenge. But her dedication didn't stop at sport. Anne's also known for throwing herself into charity work with full force. Over the years, she's been linked to more than 300 different organizations, championing everything from health and education to global relief efforts. One of the causes closest to her heart is Save the Children, which she's supported since way back in 1970. What makes Anne stand out is how she handles these roles. She's not in it for photo ops or headlines. She shows up, gets stuck in, and takes the work seriously. She's traveled to some of the toughest, most dangerous places in the world, all in the name of raising awareness for kids in need, long before that became a trendy thing in royal circles. Unlike many other royals, Anne has never been one to seek the limelight. She barely gives interviews, doesn't go in for emotional public moments, and has always kept a bit of distance from the press. Some say it makes her seem a bit aloof, but within the royal family, she's known as someone rock solid, totally dependable, and always discreet. Even Queen Elizabeth II used to call her My Rock. And these days, that title feels more fitting than ever. With King Charles battling cancer, Anne has stepped up in a big way, quietly holding the family together without asking for any recognition. Her personal life has been just as steady, though not without its twists. She married Captain Mark Phillips in 1973 and had 2 children, Peter and Zara. But in a move that shocked a few royal watchers, Anne insisted they grow up without royal titles. She wanted them to have a chance at a normal life, free from the weight of royal expectations. After her marriage ended in 1992, she married again later that same year, this time to Vice Admiral Sir Timothy Lawrence. Through all those personal changes, one thing never wavered: her commitment to duty. She barely missed an engagement. Even now, in her 70s, Anne keeps one of the busiest diaries in the royal family. Year after year, she clocks in more public engagements than most of her younger relatives. And her approach hasn't changed a bit. She still believes in showing up, doing the work, and leaving the drama at the door. At a time when the monarchy's future feels uncertain, and when people are more critical of the royals than ever, Anne's steady, no-nonsense style feels like a rare kind of reassurance. She's a symbol of tradition, consistency, and quiet strength, a throwback to the kind of royal service people still respect. Over time, her bond with King Charles has only grown stronger. In fact, Charles himself has spoken openly about how much Anne's support means to him, especially now. After his cancer diagnosis in early 2024, the royal family's sense of stability was badly shaken. Suddenly, the weight of the crown felt even heavier, and Charles started leaning more on the people he could trust completely. Right at the top of that list? Anne. According to Woman's Day magazine, one royal aide revealed a private moment between the siblings that says it all. During a quiet conversation, Anne reportedly promised Charles she'd keep going, supporting both him and the monarchy through whatever came next. The promise moved Charles to tears. He was deeply touched by her loyalty, but also worried. He didn't want his sister to feel like she had to sacrifice her own life just because of his illness. That thought broke his heart. Still, knowing she'd be right there beside him gave him a huge sense of comfort. Behind closed doors, Charles has been quietly overjoyed knowing that Anne will be right by his side for whatever lies ahead. But true to form, Anne didn't let the moment get too sentimental. When her brother started to tear up, she reportedly told him, "Dry your tears, buck up, and get on with the job." It was classic Anne, brisk, no nonsense, and deeply reassuring. Throughout 2024, King Charles worked hard to stay visible and maintain his public role, despite his health struggles. During a December visit to Walthamstow, someone from the crowd asked how he was doing. His answer? A dry, "I'm still alive." It was a rare flash of royal humor, wry and understated, that hinted at the quiet strength he's clung to during this time. Still, the road ahead hasn't been easy. According to Sky News, Charles's cancer treatment is expected to continue well into 2025. While palace insiders have described his condition as stable and trending in a positive direction, they've also made it clear that treatment remains ongoing for the foreseeable future. But even so, Charles has refused to step back. He's kept his diary full, appearing at public events, even over the holidays, determined to serve in whatever way he can. That determination, palace aides say, is largely held together by the people around him. There's a real sense of optimism inside the palace, and it's rooted not just in medical reports, but in the strength of the personal support network the king has built. At the center of that network, as always, is Princess Anne. And just as the royal family was working hard to steady itself, an unexpected revelation left even Charles momentarily speechless. During a quiet family gathering at Buckingham Palace, Princess Anne revealed something no one had seen coming: a message from Queen Elizabeth II herself. Before her passing, the late Queen had taken time to reflect on the future of the monarchy, and what she saw in Catherine, the Princess of Wales, made a lasting impression. Elizabeth, always known for her thoughtful judgment, had quietly observed Catherine over the years. She'd watched her grow from a young duchess into a confident, steady presence, graceful under pressure, quietly dependable, and committed to the role she had taken on. While most of the world's attention stayed locked on the line of succession, the Queen had been thinking bigger. In her final reflections, Elizabeth came to believe that Catherine wouldn't just be the future Queen consort, she would become one of the monarchy's most vital figures. According to Anne, the Queen saw Catherine as someone who could help keep the royal family together during times of uncertainty and transition. The weight of this revelation hit harder coming from Anne. She's the royal family's workhorse, after all, completing a staggering 457 engagements in 2023 alone, more than any other member of the firm. When Anne speaks, people listen. So when she shared Queen Elizabeth's private words, they carried serious weight. At the time of this gathering, Catherine officially ranked 8th in seniority within the royal family, sitting behind more traditional figures in the pecking order. But Queen Elizabeth's message flipped that script. It suggested that survival of the monarchy would be about more than bloodlines and titles. It would depend on character, resilience, and trust. And by that measure, Catherine was already at the heart of it all. While Prince William had spent years preparing to one day become king, this message didn't center on him. It was Catherine who stood at the core of Queen Elizabeth's vision for the monarchy's future. And the more you looked at her record, the more sense it made. Throughout her years as a working royal, Catherine has won admiration for her calm, collected presence and her focus on meaningful causes, especially in areas like early childhood development, mental health, and family support. But what many people haven't seen is what goes on behind palace walls. As Anne pointed out, Catherine's most important work wasn't always happening on a public stage. While Anne was out attending hundreds of engagements each year, Catherine was focused on something just as crucial: raising the next generation of the monarchy. Together with William, she made the intentional decision to prioritize their children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, making sure their childhoods were built on stability, empathy, and strength. Anne made it clear that Catherine's choice to prioritize her children wasn't just a personal one. It was a forward-thinking investment in the monarchy itself. By raising her children in a stable, grounded environment, Catherine was helping to shape future royals who would meet the demands of public life with strength and genuine empathy. It was the kind of foundation that could quietly strengthen the institution for decades to come. Over the years, the bond between Princess Anne and Catherine has deepened, grounded in mutual respect and shared values. Anne saw in Catherine a fellow royal who understood the power of quiet resilience. Through countless behind-the-scenes conversations, Anne has offered Catherine insight and steady guidance, helping her navigate the balancing act of duty, family, and relentless public scrutiny. Their relationship is one built not on status or performance, but on trust and a shared belief that service matters more than ambition. So when Anne shared Queen Elizabeth's private message about Catherine, it carried the full weight of history, experience, and approval. It was more than a compliment. It was a signal that the future of the monarchy would depend as much on strength of character as it would on formal rank. And Queen Elizabeth, having led through decades of change, personal loss, and intense global attention, knew just how crucial those personal qualities were. In Catherine, she had seen the traits that mattered most: adaptability, empathy, and composure. Catherine's journey into royal life was anything but easy. From the day her engagement to Prince William was announced, she became the subject of unrelenting public interest. Yet she never let the pressure define her. Instead, she built her royal role slowly, deliberately, never chasing the spotlight. Over time, her consistent presence and thoughtful work earned her real respect from both the public and her fellow royals. Even during recent months when she stepped away from public life to focus on her health, Catherine's quiet influence didn't fade. She proved that leadership within the royal family isn't about grabbing headlines, it's about consistency, care, and character. As she prepares to return to her duties, reports suggest she won't be making any grand shifts. Instead, she'll continue with the same calm, steady path she's always followed, one that Queen Elizabeth admired deeply. And while the late Queen had always believed Catherine would carry significant responsibilities, it's now clear that the Princess of Wales intends to honor those expectations. After taking time to fight a deeply personal battle, Catherine has chosen to step back into the spotlight. Throughout her cancer treatment, she remained composed and private, upholding the dignity she's become known for. Now, as she returns to royal duties, even longtime royals like Princess Anne have voiced admiration for her strength. Catherine's path into the royal family has never been a smooth one. Long before she officially joined the firm, she was already being scrutinized by the press. Yet she never wavered. She handled the pressure with quiet determination, earning the public's trust over time. And this year, when she suddenly disappeared from events, rumors erupted. Speculation about her health and personal life dominated headlines, but few people knew the truth. She was battling cancer, quietly and privately. She chose not to speak publicly until she was ready. And when she finally did, revealing that she was in remission a year after her diagnosis, she did so with grace and calm, true to the image she's cultivated through the years. With treatment behind her, Catherine is now preparing to resume her public duties, returning stronger, more respected, and more admired than ever. Princess Anne didn't let this moment go unnoticed. Her praise for Catherine, though first recorded back in her 2020 documentary, Anne, the Princess Royal at 70, has taken on deeper meaning today. In that film, Anne described Catherine as the most dignified princess she had ever seen, applauding the sense of duty and discipline Catherine brought to the role. Coming from someone like Anne, who has spent decades representing the crown with tireless focus, those words carry lasting weight. Anne also made a point to acknowledge the unique pressures younger royals face in the modern world. The pressure on the younger members of the royal family is always worse, Princess Anne once admitted. That's what the media is interested in. She didn't sugarcoat it, acknowledging that things were vastly different in her early days. Back then, there was no social media storm to weather. Today, every word, outfit, and facial expression is dissected online in real time, making life under the royal spotlight far more intense. That's the reality Catherine faces as she returns to public life in 2025. Yet, in true Catherine fashion, she's not charging back with dramatic changes, just quiet confidence and a few subtle shifts. Experts predict she'll maintain her signature style, polished, graceful, and understated. But she may embrace a slightly more relaxed presence, perhaps showing more of the woman behind the title. Of course, Catherine's royal path hasn't existed in a vacuum. This year, the tension between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle and the rest of the family has continued to simmer, casting a long shadow. While headlines buzz with every Sussex-related development, Catherine has kept her composure. Unlike Meghan, who often uses interviews and podcasts to voice her grievances, Catherine prefers a quieter approach. She's never been one to compete for attention. Instead, she lets her work and presence speak for themselves. Still, there are moments when she and Prince William feel compelled to respond, albeit subtly. Just days after Meghan's revealing interview, the Prince and Princess of Wales broke their silence. On April 28th, the couple posted a warm, cheerful video montage from their trip to Tobermory on the Isle of Mull, perfectly timed to lead into their 14th wedding anniversary on April 29th. Their caption read, "Looking forward to arriving in Mull tomorrow for 2 days, celebrating and connecting with rural island communities in the beautiful Inner Hebrides." The timing wasn't lost on anyone. While Meghan stirred conversation with revelations on the Jamie Kern-Lima show just days before, William and Kate chose to share joy and connection. During the podcast, Meghan touched on something that reignited public curiosity: her potential memoir. While she said, "I've got a lot more life to live before I'm there," the comment left the door wide open. The Duchess of Sussex noted she's focusing on hospitality, food, and entertainment ventures for now, but the mere mention of a book had royal watchers buzzing. Could another royal tell-all be on the horizon? All of this reminds us that being a royal isn't the fairy tale it appears to be. Behind the grand palaces and choreographed appearances lies a constant juggling act, one filled with stress, tension, and the kind of scrutiny most people could never imagine. But even in the middle of it all, certain royals stand out for how they weather the storm. Princess Anne, with her tireless commitment and no-nonsense grit, and Princess Catherine, with her composed resilience and quiet leadership, continue to be the pillars of calm. So now it's your turn. What do you make of all this? Between the drama, the duty, and the dignity, how do you see the roles of Princess Anne and Princess Catherine shaping the future of the royal family? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your take.